Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my live stream. Oh my God, it's a glorious morning way out east here on Long Island. They said it was supposed to rain, but I don't see the. Oh, I see what's going on. You always got to look to your left for the weather, and over here it looks glorious. The sun is coming up over the ocean. Over here, there's a lot of clouds and nonsense heading our way. So that's all right. What's up, dude guy? You're first on the whole damn thing. How are you, sir? We got the JMR 369 breaking news. Biden has COVID. Oh my God, what is going to happen now? Conveniently, he gets the COVID. What? What's up, Nick? How are you? Good morning. Richie Rich. I forgot to get my lung butter out before I started this morning. I apologize. It's very unprofessional to try to get your lung butter out as you're doing a live stream. Richie Rich with morning. Who the man? 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 Biden's the man. You could be the man for a good thing, a bad thing. You could be a woman that's the man. Well, obviously, in this day and age, what the hell is going on? But I think Biden is the man because conveniently he gets COVID as more and more Democrats are telling him to drop out of the race. All of a sudden, he's like, well, if I have a medical condition, I would consider dropping out of the race. And then a mere, 2 days later, he comes down with the COVID. And he was walking very, very slowly up those steps onto Air Force One. So is this his excuse to get out of the race? Like, I know I can still do the job, but I got to step aside because this COVID is a mother effer. And do they announce that he steps aside tonight just as Trump is about to give his speech at the RNC? Things are going to get interesting. Get your damn helmets, get a cup of coffee, and let's talk about it. Hi, Sarah. How are you? But Richie Rich, Biden is dumb man. Sarah's checking in. We got Scott Watson up the river. We got the Robert Cowling. Good morning, Cupcake and crew. Good morning, Andy Vollen and Gail and Ann Hathaway fans. We got Richard Santa Cruz. We got the Good Morning Opie and Squad from XM202, the Afro. Remember the Afro shows? It was what? The A was Anthony. The F was Fez. The R was Ron, and the O was Opie. We would get together and do super shows. When it used to seem so easy, we would do those Afro shows, and they were just incredible, to say the least. Hi, RJ Henners. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, LeBron. Good morning. Oh, Chuck Schumer told Biden to drop out. I saw that, and also the Schiff. What's his name? The Adam Schiff. He's way up there in the Democratic Party, and he also told everybody he wants Biden to drop out. And then next thing you know, what? Biden comes down with the COVID. And didn't he know he had the COVID before he was hanging out at a Mexican restaurant, coughing on everyone's tortillas? Did he know? I don't know. This still won't make him step aside, Cassius says. I don't know. Well, his ego. He's a man with a giant ego, just like the rest of them. So he might stay in and just ruin it for everybody. It's very, very obvious that he has to move on. Oh, my God. This crap is getting really, really interesting, isn't it? Trump dodges a bullet, supposedly, and Biden gets caught by a cough. He couldn't step aside from a cough. That's what you got going on right now out there. But you'll see it for yourself. A new picture has popped up on the inner tubes, and it shows that a piece of the teleprop right on the corner was absolutely shattered. Cue up the Rolling Stones on your home of rock and roll. So a lot of people are suspicious. Did Trump even get hit by a bullet? And now there's going to be a picture. It's going to be everywhere. It's starting to make the rounds, and the teleprompter has a little chip missing on the corner, and that would mean shattered glass, and that would mean the theory that Trump's got hit by glass and not a bullet would be very interesting for a lot of people out there. So we'll see. It doesn't matter. He still was doing a speech, and someone is shooting at him, and he got very, very injured, where you had to put the Kotex on the side of his face. But the theory that it was glass and not a bullet is going to have some legs today. That's for sure. I'm waiting for my guest, by the way. I got a very special guest that's joining the live stream. Hopefully within a minute or two. We'll see. They gave him the COVID to make him drop out, LOL. Oh, you think they actually gave him the COVID? Very, very interesting. But then people are saying this strain of the COVID isn't as bad as the original strains. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know. Good morning, Open Squad. Hey, John Quartz, how are you? Casper. Make up with Anthony and Jimmy. Start the show, you old useless door. All right, thank you. Yeah, that's an automatic ban. Goodbye. No, we're not doing that. Why would we do that? Why the F would we do that? Ross Dog's Broken Spirit. It's Ron, isn't it? No, it's not Ron today, Ross Dog. I had Ron on yesterday. Scott Watson saying, not Ron. No, it's not Ron the waiter. It's not Ron the waiter. Special guest, Barrister 1401, giving me $2. Please, not Ron the waiter. What's wrong with Ron? Ron did a great job yesterday. I like him on this thing. Good morning, Stan Davis. Good morning, Jedi Grind from Australia. I'm finally learning where the Jedi Grind's from. Good morning, Greg. Hey, look at this. Just threw me $10 like it's nothing. Thank you for sharing the IG story. Of course. What I do is if you comment on my Instagram posts, I take some of the good comments and I make them into stories. I don't know. They say that's one way to get engagement. Is it? I don't know. I don't know what works on the internet these days. Who knows? With that, let's say hi to a legend, Jackie the Joke Man.
Hey.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, my God, I can hear you. You're in Joke Land. You're on the North Shore of Long Island. I got to be honest. Jackie's one of my favorite people. I'll say in the radio world. Is that fair? Although when we hang out, then you're just one of my favorite people, and we haven't done the hang in a while.
You know, I should be set up so I have the Long Island Sound behind me because it looks to me, I mean, it looks to the world like I'm stuck here in the middle of some godforsaken city sitting in an office and
right.
A nice office, but 100 yards to the left, I got the beautiful blue water too. But you look, it looks heavenly where you are. And yes, you are a good friend, and you always have been.
Maybe I took a page out of your book because this is how I live now. And over the years, when you were doing the Howard Stern show, you would talk about how great it was to live on the Long Island Sound. You got that upper deck. I could just see you like live streaming from up there with the deck behind, with the water behind you, Jack.
You know, I've never tried it. Maybe I will try that soon because it's all wireless.
Right?
There's no reason not to. But it is just so beautiful here. And we don't go anywhere. And then I'm like, why? If I was on a cruise ship, I would wake up and in the best room, I would have all my windows facing the water. So yeah. I'm on a cruise ship every day. So
Yeah.
Who knows?
Are you still doing the nude swimming? I know you're doing the regular swimming, but
I don't swim nude. I only swam nude at night, and I don't really go at night much anymore because it scares my girlfriend. Sometimes I go at dusk.
Right.
But I don't need to scare anybody, and I'm not that much of a nut. But I do go for a long, long swim at least once a day, sometimes twice, and it's and then an outdoor shower. I mean, it just doesn't get any better.
What is she scared of with you doing the night swimming?
Of me dying and washing up on shore. Or maybe she's afraid of me not dying. I don't know.
Look, we're all gonna go, Jackie. But
we're not gonna talk about that. You hard on.
Well, yeah, but I just do want to say, wouldn't you rather?
Yes.
Come ashore than in a stupid bed somewhere? Thank you. That's all I want to say. You're a comedian. You get it.
Either that way or like Rockefeller.
Right
on the upstroke.
The upstroke. I tried to grow your pot. I happen to have a lot of Jackie the Joke Man seeds, and if you think your name has dropped, Jackie, it has not. I brag that I got Jackie the Joke Man pot seeds, and I actually hand them out at parties, and people have been very successful with the seeds.
I am having a A great year. I just sent you crop 2024. I don't know how good this. I mean, the pot's always good, but these are the hugest plants.
Right.
I have plants that are like 12 feet already, and it's not even August, because we start, I used to start with seeds in May.
Right.
I used to start, sometimes I'd start seeds inside and get them to a certain height. And then when it becomes time, put them outside. But I found out that if you start them inside and get them up to 8 inches, and then all of a sudden it's May or May 15th and it's warm enough, and you put them outside, and alongside you put in a seed.
Yeah.
Within a month, they're the same size.
Oh, no kidding.
Well, because there's transplant shock when you move them outside, and they have to get used to it.
Right.
The other ones are like born and bred outside, and but my buddy gave me plants this year, and I put them in on May 1st. And wait till you see the pictures. They're frightening. And the pictures are 3 or 4 days old. They're a foot taller than that already.
Wait, who gave you the plants?
My friend Billy.
Oh, okay. I thought you said your brother, and I'm like, wait, what?
No, my buddy. And but meanwhile, they're probably my great grandchildren, because this pot I gave him, and then he ate his pot.
Yeah.
So they're like, if they were a dog, they'd be called a mutt.
Yeah.
They're mainly Gorilla Glue, which is the stupidest name, right? You know about that.
Of course. So this year I was growing your seeds. I got them up to this high, Jackie, and then I put them on this dumb deck. And I don't know if you know this, but a plant could get too much sun, and I killed them.
And that does happen, especially on a deck in the crazy sun. You have to get rid of the males. And I finally learned that and got that together. And one year I was growing a few plants up on my deck, but not paying any attention. And I got rid of all the males. Next thing I knew, my females were knocked up. And I went up on my deck, and I had a couple of little plants, 2-foot plants on my deck that were males with balls. And those little bastards from 200 yards away knocked up all my females. Like, it's a crazy thing.
You gotta. What do you mean they have balls? Pot plants have balls.
Do you really not know the whole? I'm not gonna. We don't have enough time. But the way you grow males, they grow as males or females. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Okay.
And somewhere in the beginning or middle of August, you can sex them. There are some people that can look at them and know immediately, but they're scientists.
Yeah.
But male plants literally have balls. Wow. They have little balls.
Yeah.
They're full of pollen.
Okay.
And the females, this is a true story.
I'm listening.
The females they grow buds eventually. Picture by the middle of August, they're 12-year-old girls, and all of a sudden they have little boobs. They're actually vaginas. They actually are sexual, and they start to get sticky. And somewhere around the middle of August, the male plants, the balls burst, and the pollen goes and gets on the sticky part of the female and knocks her up. And then she goes and uses all her energy to create seeds. And the reason you get rid of the males is the females just get hornier and hornier, literally, and they get stickier and stickier. And that's the THC that gets you high. I am not making people that can't believe. You don't know this? So you get rid of the males. Like, that's why I have hardly any seeds in any of my pot, because they're all females.
Yeah.
And the girls just get in the hot sun. They get hornier and stickier and stickier and smellier and hornier. But one little male plant can knock them all up.
I at this moment I gotta explain to everybody that Jackie's talking about plants. No, I understand the biology behind all this, but to have you describe it is one of my favorite things of all time.
I love telling people because it sounds like, but when you think about it, it's nature. Of course, there's a male and a female, and it's just like, either the breeze blows the pollen or a bug takes the pollen or whatever. Hey, I got to tell you my new favorite joke.
All right, go ahead.
It's very, very bad. I've got 2 bad ones.
Okay.
A guy gets a farm, so he's got to get a cow. So he goes to a cow sale. He sees a nice cow, and he says, the guy's selling the cow, I think I want to buy this cow, but I got to make sure it's still vital. The guy selling the cow says, well, whatever you got to do. So the guy reaches under and pulls on one of the cow's nipples, and the cow cuts a huge fart. So the guy reaches under and pulls on another nipple, and the cow cuts an even bigger fart. And he turns to the guy selling the cow. And he says, "This cow is from Minnesota, isn't it?" And the guy selling the cow says, "Yeah. How can you tell?" He says, "My wife is from Minnesota." How great is that?
How great is that? I love that. How great is that? It's amazing.
And I got a show business joke for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
A couple goes into an adoption agency, and the guy says to the woman, "We'd like to adopt a child." And the woman says, "Okay, what do you do?" He says, "We're clowns in the circus." She says, "You're clowns in the circus and you want to adopt a child?" He says, "Yeah, we're a nice couple. We make a lot of money. We pay our taxes. We're good citizens. We want to raise a baby and have a nice family. And you're clowns in the circus?" He says, "Yes." "All right." She says, well, do you want to adopt a boy or a girl?" And the guy gets mad. He says, "A boy or a girl? That doesn't... We just want to have a child to raise so we can have a nice family. It doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl, as long as it'll fit into the barrel of our cannon."
Jesus, Jackie.
That's a show business joke.
And then I want to say thank you to John Cords giving me $5, and he asked for a joke. We got the joke. Thank you. $5 a joke. I think we should do today. Ross Dog's Broken Spirit. Give Rodney a chance. Give Rodney a chance. What does that mean? I
have not told that joke, and that's a very... It's not really a racist joke, but it really is.
All right.
It's a silly joke. It's a silly joke.
All right.
You know what? I'm going to spare you. That used to actually, that joke used to play when you went on my website. Hey, I'll tell somebody, if you want to hear that joke, I will send you an MP3 of the joke from my album. Email me, jokeland@AOL.com. I give out my email. I get emails from all over the world still.
Yeah.
I don't get 100 a day, but I get, X amount.
Is it?
Jokeland, JOKELAND @AOL.com. And yes, I will respond, and I will send you, give Rodney a chance. Rodney a chance.
Your email is still an AOL account?
It absolutely is, and it works wonderfully, and I love it.
How is that possible? I didn't even know AOL was still around. Well, you got mail.
They kept it going for me.
Just for you, you're the last client, and they're like, when this guy finally moves on, then we can finally close down shop.
I have an old friend.
Yeah.
I met in Washington, D.C., and I gave him his first gig when he got to New York in 1979. He's still a very good friend. He stopped doing comedy. Now he's writing stuff, but he doesn't have to. I'll tell you why. Around whatever year, it must have been 1990, 92, I don't know what year. He was fed up with comedy. He was a comic magician. He wasn't making a lot of money, but and he saw an ad. They needed somebody to do a comedy billboard for a new startup.
Yeah.
So he wrote in, and he got the job doing the comedy billboard for a new startup called AOL.
Oh my God.
And he got paid not much money, but mainly in stock. I don't got to tell you, he ka-ching. Crazy. And then he had so much money, all he did was used to cruise. And then he was on a cruise ship, and he got mad that he couldn't check his AOL stocks. So he figured out a way that they could access the stock market from cruise ships. And then he has the patent for that. So he struck it rich twice. Glenn Farrington, very, very nice guy. But what a story, huh? I hear AOL, and they say, "You're still on AOL?" I said, "Yeah, I got to make sure Farrington keeps getting those checks."
I would assume you could be a very nice guy if you're basically a billionaire from the stock market. My God.
And think how many people did stuff for startups that they called 2 days later and says, "You know what? We're not going to do this. We're going to disband this."
Well,
wow.
Well, I was in on an IPO back in the day, Jackie. The other side of this is you can lose over $100,000 in less than a year. Remember our old friend Fareed in the radio business when he was starting his own radio company?
Oh, you invested in Fareed's company. He was a really, really nice guy. I really like that guy. But
I love him. He let me, before I got this place at the ocean, he would actually let me hang out at his place when obviously when he wasn't there. He's like, you could use my house, and I knew where the key was, and he had a pool, and it was gorgeous. It's one of the towns out here. But I was in Cape Cod, and he texted me. He's like, I want to get you and Anthony in on an IPO for. I forgot the name of the company even at this point. Long story short, he's like, I'm looking for about $110,000 from both of you. I'm like, I'm in. I was making money back then, and I'm signing the paperwork, and I'm faxing it over to him, and I'm wiring him money. He's like, you made a good move. This thing is going to go through the roof because radio's hot.
It's so funny. I don't know what year, but we had just moved to 600 Madison, and I kept hearing that all of a sudden there was going to be this IPO. And I went to somebody and said, what is an IPO? I said, oh, that's when you get to buy stock in a company because you're part of the company. And I went to, I guess, Mel Carmazin or Tom Chiusano and said, can I have being on this IPO? And he said, okay. So I put in $15,000 and got 1,000 shares. And next thing you knew, the $15 stock was up to $37.50. I remember the numbers. And I was in the elevator with Jerry Karras. I don't know. There was Mel and Jerry and another guy. And Jerry was a really bold. We lost him years ago, but he's such a nice guy. And I said, Jerry, I don't know anything about the stock market, but I bought 1,000 shares at $15, and now they're up to $37.50. What should I do? And he smiled. I could see Sam, and he said, buy more. So I bought 2,000 more shares at $37.50. And that stock went 3 for 2. It doubled. It got sold to Westinghouse and bought back, sold to CBS. I mean, that $65,000 or $70,000 became almost $2 million before I managed to lose it. Yeah, everybody says, take your money out. Take out your profits. I was like, bullshit, I'm making money here. I'm making money here. And then somebody says, your stock was cut in half. And then they said, well, I got a better idea. Why don't you get divorced and cut it in half again? That's an idea.
They're perfect. Yeah, it's hard to take the money out, especially when you're convinced in your head it's going to just keep going up. But so the Fareed stock, long story short, turned into a penny stock, and me and Anthony both lost. I forget the exact number, but it was definitely over $100,000 each. But in no time, I bought a whole bunch of AT&T stock, and it went crazy. I don't know if you remember, but also AT&T split into 3 different companies, and it was going crazy and making hand over fist. And and you got stock in the other 3, and I forget the name of the one section of it. I had $800,000 worth of whatever it was. And the stockbroker said, man, take out some profit or something. I said, the way this is growing, and I wasn't paying attention. Next thing I knew, the $800,000 was like $40.
Yeah. Because when it zooms, and if you're not paying attention, and I said, why didn't you tell me to get out? I did tell you to get out, you stubborn fuck, But it was, you go for the ride,
what are you going to what are you going to do?
Right. Sometimes they laugh, sometimes they don't.
The sad part is I can use that $110,000 right about now.
Who are you talking to?
What? We had it so good, Jackie. But it's life. What are you going to do is right.
We were printing money. The good thing is me and Nancy, my ex-wife, never changed. We never bought fancy cars. We didn't do coke. We didn't do drugs. We didn't ever change lifestyles. We wanted to live on the beach in Bayville, and we got there, and we threw out. The only difference is I don't throw parties for 200 people with lobsters anymore. You know what I mean? Or at least not as often.
Yeah.
It's just so fun. It's just so fun,
I get it. Someone's saying, how did you get Biden on the live stream? This is my friend Jackie the Joke Man. Biden.
My friend Harvey Leeds is still mad at me because he wanted me to do a thing called Biden on the Couch. And he even sent me the exact sunglasses that Joe wears.
Right.
And he wanted me to lie there and complain or be funny or whatever. I said, I'm not, I never talk politics on the radio or on podcasts or anything, but I'm a dyed-in-the-wool liberal. And, and I am so absolutely frightened of the orange monster. But I don't talk, there's nothing I can do about it. Jesus, I'm lucky I could pay for this stupid iPad here,
Right.
But yeah, I'm frightened to death. But I never changed lifestyle, so I never changed. I've lived exactly the same since 1975, except now I have $100 bills in my wallet. For years, for the first 15 years we were together, Nancy, I'd get excited when I had $100 bill in my wallet. She'd say, "Will you stop with the freaking melodrama?" I said, "Listen, if you go the first 40 years of your life and there's no $100 bills in your wallet, it's a nice thing to see. And you can call it whatever you want to call it. To this day, we went to dinner last night. I said, what the hell am I going to pay cash? And I treated the other couple and took out 3 crisp hundreds. And I'm like, whose wallet is this? And this, I'm 76. We've already got rich and got unrich for 40 years. And this, I'm a slow learner.
Well, this younger generation, when you start pulling out actual cash, they're almost confused. They don't know what to do with it. No one is walking around with cash anymore, Jackie.
They're not doing anything anymore. I don't know if people are going out to bars and telling jokes. I did a podcast with these guys, and they auctioned off a Zoom talk with me for a half hour. And of course we talked for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And but the young guys, they were hardly born when I left the Stern show. And I said, I don't know how you guys exist. Nobody's going to bars and telling jokes and, right? And they said, are you kidding? We go to bars and we go to parties and we tell your jokes. We know all your jokes from Zoom and not Zoom. What's it called? From
like TikTok, Twitter,
YouTube and TikTok.
All right.
And this stuff is still floating around, which I love,
Oh, so I do want to circle back just for a second. I hate politics myself. But someone like you, a comedian, you could have taken the piss out of a lot of political issues, and you chose over the years to really kind of avoid that. Why is that? You didn't want to isolate half your audience, or?
Well, but not specifically. I just want to get laughs. Yeah, and I don't want to make half the people laugh and half the people. I don't care about them getting pissed off. I just want laughs. I didn't talk about how small my apartment was or my rotten child. Yeah, I just want to tell joke after joke after joke. That's how I came into it. People thought, Jackie decided to be a comedian. He went and learned some jokes. Those jokes were so ingrained in me from, since, the 50s. I was telling jokes before I could hardly pick my nose. And it's just part of me. And that's what I'm always going to be telling jokes anyway. So, what the hell? What were we doing? Yesterday, I was about to hit the golf ball, and I said some kind of old joke from like when I heard when I was in second grade, and it was just a funny old, off color, like they were sick jokes in the 50s. And I turned to the other guys. I said, "How the hell did Dice miss that one?" Because all those nursery rhymes at Dice, they were already old news when I was 11 years old.
Right.
I mean, he took and did wonders with them.
Right.
But we had done all those things, and but they're still funny. They're still funny, and that's what why it's like. Why would you go on stage and say, who I really love? The Mets, and then all the Yankees fans are like, "Bah Fangul." Who needs to do that?
Yeah, I got to stick up for someone who's no longer with us. When it comes to Dice's nursery rhymes, Otto from Otto and George, he swears that Dice, took a bunch of those from him when they were in the clubs together back in the day. And Otto, to his last breath, swore by it and was really, really mad about it.
Well, but comedy's so funny because nobody wrote. Otto did not write those. I knew those. Little Boy Blue. I swear to God, the first time I heard Little Boy Blue, he needed the money. I had no idea what that meant. I was too young to know what blue meant.
Right.
So that's how old that was. But I'm sure Otto was using those jokes on stage, and Dice said, "Hey, that's a good idea. I think I'll help myself," which happens so often in comedy. And I'm absolutely sure that Otto, I got along with him so good. In the early 80s, we were brothers because we were the two guys that were too dirty to get booked.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun and laughed. Did you ever see the movie we were in?
Which one?
Comedy's Dirtiest Dozen.
No, I don't think so.
You got to look it up. It's
okay.
They didn't pay us. They gave us our SAG cards. That was our pay.
Wow, look at that.
It was Bill Hicks, John Fox.
Wait. You did a movie with Bill Hicks? He's my hero.
Bill Hicks, Tim Allen, Chris Rock, John Fox. Tim Allen got his Tool Time gig from Disney on the strength of that movie. It was 12 comics, and we each did 7 minutes. And it's just, it holds up. It's just great. And nobody knows about it.
Wait, what's the name of it again? And where can we find it?
All you got to do is Google it. I think it's even free on one of the channels. It's Comedy's Dirtiest Dozen.
Okay. Oh my God. Do you have a Bill Hicks story? I love that guy. And what I love about Bill Hicks, to this day, his material holds up. He's kind of like, same thing with like Patrice O'Neal. You get these comics that after they're gone, their material absolutely lives on.
He was one of the, he was very friendly and we all got along and had fun, but I didn't really hang with him. But, there were a lot of comics that looked down their nose at me because I told jokes. And then as time went on, they learned, wait a minute, this guy, they'd hear about this guy with the jokes, but then they'd meet me or work with me and they go, wait a minute, this guy's one of the funniest guys I ever met. That's just how I choose to play.
Right.
It's like if a guy plays Bozo on TV, you think, I don't want to talk to him. He's stupid. No, he plays a clown on television, you asshole. He probably reads Fesky or whatever his fucking name is.
Leave Bozo alone. He has to go home, and when we're alone with our thoughts, that can't be good for someone like Bozo the Clown.
Bozo. You know who he became, right?
No.
He became Captain Kangaroo. Oh, you're too young for that.
I don't get it. Well, I kind of know the Captain Kangaroo. I don't get it though.
The same actor, Bob Keeshan, was Bozo the Clown on TV, and then he became Captain Kangaroo. That's stupid trivia. It doesn't mean anything.
I swear to God, I never knew that until this very moment.
Did you ever see Beat the Clock? Do you know what that was?
Yeah, of course.
With Bud Collyer. Bud Collyer was Superman on the radio. Oh, there is such a great. I'm sure you heard this story, but if you haven't, nobody ever knew it. Bud Collyer had polio when he was a kid.
Yeah.
So he really hobbled when he walked. He had a really hobbling walk, and he was at a Hollywood party or a big New York show business party, and he had gotten pretty popular. And Mel Brooks had gotten kind of popular, like in the early 50s. And Mel Brooks waved to him from across the room. And so Bill Cullen started walking across the party to come say hello to Mel Brooks, and he's hobbling. And Mel thought he was fucking around. So Mel hobbled to meet him in the middle of the room and then realized that the guy really had polio. He was so embarrassed. And I'm sure that's in Mel's book. And that's a great old story. I love stupid stuff like that.
Andy Volland, please, one more Jackie joke, please. He's begging you. He's begging Jackie the Joke Man.
So my favorite, I've told you all these jokes, but a girl goes to the gynecologist. She says, Doc, I'm freaking out. I keep finding postage stamps from Costa Rica in my vagina. And he examines her. He says, lady, those aren't postage stamps. Those are the stickers from bananas. You know what I do? I do that on stage every show. And when the people get done falling off their chairs, I say, you will never walk down the produce aisle of a grocery store again without thinking of me, because you're going to see the bananas with little Costa Rica stamp.
I never heard that one. Definitely never heard. No, I never heard that one. That's a great one. Hey, crap. Richard Simmons died. And you were on the Howard Stern show when Richard was doing all those great appearances.
We had so much fun. I don't know. Fred was a genius, and Richard would get crazy when Howard was dirty. So Fred had Scott Salem, the engineer. There was a movie, I think it was Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where Sean Penn said to the teacher, he said, "You dick." And Scott isolated that and put that in a cart. And when Richard was in the studio, Fred would play, "You dick," and Richard would go berserk. And then at one point, Richard came running over and stole the 8-track cart away from Fred. But Fred had a couple of them. And Richard was like, ha, ha, ha. And all here, You dick, Fred play. Oh, and Richard get all crazy. He was so much fun, man. I don't know. You guys were on the air, so you weren't. There was a morning when Gary had said we got a guest, and I swear to you, and this is hard to believe, Richard Simmons came on the show, came walking in, but he was dressed as a motorcycle, like a hoodlum, like a motorcycle outlaw.
Yeah.
And we had no idea. And I'm talking about not 30 seconds, like it was a couple minutes. I probably until he opened his mouth, like hi. But it was just a classic, and there's got to be pictures of that somewhere. Oh man!
Off air, did he? Was he a much different guy? Like, did he have demons? Did he kind of live in more of a darkness?
When you're on a radio show, you know this. When come on a radio show or a TV show, when people show up, they don't stay in character, but they stay up.
Right.
We wouldn't go to commercial and go, I'm really, my life is horrible. My parents didn't know I was gay.
Right.
He was just always up and just so nice to everybody. And you didn't know he was one of those guys you weren't even sure there was a dark side.
Right.
We tortured him. He brought a 500-pound guy onto the Channel 9 show.
I remember that.
He used to do a thing where he would take a very huge person and try and help them.
Yes.
And he's sitting there with this 500-pound guy, and me and Fred Howard pulled out a fishing rod with a bag of potato chips at the end, and Richard was crying. And then we lowered from the ceiling, a huge aluminum pan with a full turkey in it. Oh my God! People still come up to me and say, "Was that you or was that Fred?" I said, "I don't know. I'm sure we were laughing so hard, but I know it was one of us."
That leads to why can't we do that type of thing anymore? Everyone is so wound tight, and I think I hate to say it this way, but it has to be said. Like the younger generation, they don't know how to laugh. Like everything is so dead serious with this younger generation, where you can't make fun of stuff that they believe in. And when we were growing up and when you were growing up, everything was fair game. And just because you were maybe pro polio, you would accept the polio jokes and laugh your ass off. And then when you left the comedy club, then you fought for polio. But nowadays you can't make fun of stuff that people believe in. It's so weird to me.
Yeah, people say, "Oh, you can't say that,"
No, you can say whatever you want. I'm just saying it's frustrating to see it.
I said to people, listen, I've always done the same thing. Like I tone it down or whatever. But, the black people laughed at the Jew jokes, and the Jewish people laughed at the midget jokes, and the midget jokes laughed at the Puerto Ricans. It was a big vat of soup, and everybody knew that I was just having fun and not trying to be hurtful in any way. And that, so I figured I was grandfathered in. But I used to use that term before I was old enough to be a grandfather.
Right.
But it's all perspective. I did a show in the Midwest. I never forgot this. This woman came in with 2 kids in wheelchairs. And I mean, they were in bad shape. I don't know if they had MS or Lou Gehrig, whatever but I mean, they were a mess. And she came up to me and said, "Listen, will you do me a favor? My kids really love it when people make fun of them. They get such a kick out of it." Honest to God. And I said, "Lady, I would love to make fun of your kids and make them have a great time, but I can't, because as much as they would enjoy it, the rest of the audience would want to string me up. I just couldn't do it, and that's how it was. And I'm all for the audience, whatever the audience wants, whatever the audience can bear. It was Al Jolson. People say, "Oh, it was bad audience," and he said, "The audience is never wrong. They can't be wrong. They paid their money. They're sitting in the seats. It's up to you to get them. It's not up to them to bend themselves, Meanwhile, you watch Al Jolson in an old movie and he's unwatchable. He's so horrible.
Yeah.
But he was the king of show business. So,
It's amazing how everything has changed. Do you have one Howard Stern story? Because the people are asking. I like when I have Jackie on, and it's been way too long. I like that we haven't talked about the Howard stuff as much. I love that.
I don't know how many people have read my book, so I'll include a plug for my book called "The Joke Man Bow to Stern," and this is one of my favorite. And since you're out, you're probably where, East Hampton, West Hampton. Where are you?
You're
out there.
I'm pretty close to him. Let's just put it that way.
So there was a guy named Dominic Barbara.
Sure.
Big fat lawyer. And it was funny because every time there was some horrible story of somebody did something heinous in the New York Post, it was like, it's going to be done. And sure enough, second paragraph. And he's represented by lawyer Dominic Barbara. And he was such a good guy.
I'm raising my hand just to add to this for the people out there that are in the Opie and Anthony world. Dominic Barbara represented Anthony's ex-wife.
No, is that true?
And then had the nerve after, there was a payday for Anthony's ex-wife. Let's just put it that way without getting into details. And then this scumbag, I say it this way because I defend Anthony today, then called our show like we were all going to be palsy pals. The guy is a character.
We had the flood of 1992, our entire basement filled to the top. If you open the basement door, it was like a pool. And we lost so much, and we weren't, it's 1992. We certainly weren't rich yet. And Dominic said, "Let me come out to your house, and maybe I can help you guys." And he came out in his limo and looked around at the house. And then for the next week or two, he called into the Stern Show and made fun of how much damage me and Nancy had. That's what, And it was great radio, but it was so hurtful. So meanwhile, he had a beautiful home on Shelter Island. It's funny, he would do a divorce settlement, and then he would marry the divorcee if she had a lot of money. It was a character. So he had this beautiful place, and he loved Howard. He would do anything. He was Brian Epstein, and Howard was John Lennon. It was like one of those things, worship. So he decided he wanted to have the whole Stern Show out for a long weekend, because it's a 4-day weekend. And I remember Nancy couldn't come, but I drove I said, I hope this is worth it. And I drove and took the ferry and blah, blah, blah. But he had bought every game, every kind of booze, every kind of everything. He threw a Fiesta Grande. And we're all in the pool. And Howard had just started dating Beth. And this was one of the nails in my coffin. If I never told you, this is great. Because we're lying in the pool. And I said, "Howard, this is what we need. We need a 4-day week. Come on, or a 3-day weekend. We'll just make up." He said, "Listen, I want to do a 3-day weekend, but Mel won't let me. I was like, now what's he do? One day a month or something." So we're lying there, and Beth is in the pool in one of the floats, and he goes, "Oh, Beth, and do you know Jackie?" And I swear to God, Opie, she said, "Oh, yeah, everybody loves Jackie." I was like, "Oh boy, there's a nail in my coffin."
Right.
So we all go out to dinner at this really nice restaurant, and we're on the top, on the deck, and there's like a tent over it, and it's just beautiful. And there's room for like maybe 4 really big long tables up there, and we're at one long table, and the table not next to us, but one over, was the entire show from what's her name, Kathy Lee Gifford.
Oh, okay.
She wasn't there, but her producer. Oh God, I got to think of his.
Gelman.
Gelman.
Yeah.
So Gelman is there, and we're sitting here, and they're like arm's length away, and I mean. Howard hammered her for years. I mean, it was bitter. It was the McCoys and the whoever. So we're there, and me. I go down and take a leak with Scott Eisinger from the E Show and Sutter and John. We're in the bathroom. I said, "You guys, that's Kathy Lee's group up. We got to break balls." And they're like, "No, not." And I'm telling you, John and Scott ran out of the bathroom like cockroaches. But I always fucked around. So I grabbed the waitress. I said, "Do me a favor." And I think I gave her a $20 bill. I'll say it was a 50. It was probably a 20. I said, "Listen, I want you to bring Howard Stern, the big 20. Oh, yeah, I know who he is. Bring him a joke. Bring him a drink and tell him it's from Mr. Gelman." And she said, "Okay." And I'm sitting next to Howard. So I go back from the bathroom. I'm sitting next to Howard. And the waitress comes over and puts a drink in front of Howard and said, "This is from Mr. Gelman." And Howard's a little surprised, and he took the drink, and he's 6'6", and he stood up like, like erecting the Empire State Building. He stood up and turned towards Gelman and raised his glass, said, "Gelman, to you." And of course, Gelman had no idea what he was talking about. And he just looked at him like he was crazy. And all of a sudden it dawned on Howard. And he looked down at me and he said, "The waitress told me this drink was from Gelman." I said, "I know. That's what I told her to tell you." he was pissed at me. He was so mad. But it was so funny. And the rest of the week, and then Monday we came into work, and he was looked at me shyly. He said, "I told my daughters what you did with Gelman, and they thought it was the funniest fucking
good.
thing ever."
Come on, that's funny.
But what a great harmless ball break, right?
There you go.
That's a great one.
All right, Jackie, what are we plugging? I do much quicker live streams these days.
I'm working August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at Giggles in Saugus, Massachusetts. It's Lenny Clark's Brothers Club. So it's me, and do you know who Lenny Clark is?
Oh, God, I love him.
Me and Lenny, we've been doing this show for about 10 years. Me and him and Christine Hurley and Steve Sweeney stops in, or one time Stephen Wright stopped in. It's a little club, but it's so great. And I love working with those guys. And Lenny, I don't know if he's still, but Lenny got a job on a sitcom.
Nice.
It's with John Cryer, where John Cryer and his ex-wife, they get divorced, but they stay in the house because they can't afford to move out. And Lenny is his ex-wife's father.
Okay.
Sitcoms don't last too long. I hope it's still going. But that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then August 8th, I'm working at Seaside Heights at a place called Hemingway's, which I never heard of, but it's a nice place down there, with my good friend Rich Harkaway, who's a urologist. I put him on stage at Governor's in 1982, and he did comedy for 5 minutes. Then he dropped out, went to med school, became a urologist, and 40 years later, he said, "Oh, I'm going to be a comic again."
Oh, my God.
He's just the nicest guy in the world. And his whole act is about how his ex-wife fucked him over, and it's really funny. And then August 21st, for the first time ever, me and Peter Bales are working at a place called Castaways on Fire Island. I don't know Fire Island, but it's on Ocean Beach on Fire Island. And this guy, Peter Bales, has been teaching. He has had comedy classes for 30 years.
Oh, my God.
At the brokerage, he's been the comedy professor, him and Rich Miller, and they teach like 8 lessons every week, and then the people get up and do their 5 minutes, and then there's a new class, and it's always fun, and he's really good. One of the guys that graduated from his class years ago, now him and his friends bought a hotel and restaurant on Fire Island.
Oh, my God.
And he hired me and Peter to come do comedy so he can host the show. I don't know how rich he is. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Evan Brett. It's at the Castaways, and it's on a Wednesday night, August 21st, on Fire Island. And I love that.
And don't forget jokeland at AOL.com if you want to email Jackie personally.
You know what? I actually make a lot of money, which is ridiculous, but I make a lot of money from these cameos. Do you do those?
I think that ship has finally sailed for me, but my stars dropped a little bit, Jackie. But
my star's completely out the window. But somebody says, "I love you." My grandfather made me listen to you.
Yeah. For a couple of years, the cameo people were absolutely after me, and I was like, and then I did write I don't know when, maybe about a year ago, and they stopped returning my emails. So I'm like, okay, I get where my place is these days.
Well, but I don't charge $500. I only charge $75.
Perfect.
I love doing them. They say my father loves Jewish jokes. He loves fart jokes. He hates his ex-wife, and I can just go boom, 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 boom. I got like 155-star reviews. So it's cameo.com/Jackie Marling. Get one.
And you're perfect at it. Leave us with a joke, Jackie the Joke Man.
I'll tell you the joke that I told Paul. You know what? I'm not. It's too hip. Okay. a guy's buying a used motorcycle from his cousin. And he goes to pick it up and he says to his cousin, my God, man, your motorcycle's like new. I know it's a used motorcycle. How's it like new? His cousin says, well, I got a secret. He says, I got a tube of Vaseline. And anytime it's about to rain, I coat the chrome with a little Vaseline. That way it doesn't tarnish, doesn't rust, and it stays like me. In fact, you're taking my motorcycle, take the tube of Vaseline. He says, okay. So the guy goes to pick up his girlfriend, and they're going to dinner at her parents' house, and he's going to meet them for the very first time. It's his new girlfriend. So they're on their way to her parents' house, and she says, I got to tell you something. My parents are a little bit weird. My family's weird. You can't talk during dinner, because if you talk during dinner, you got to do the dishes. And the guy's like, yeah, okay. So they get to the girl's house, and the whole front lawn is dirty dishes, okay? And the porch is dirty dishes. The stairs going up to the house, dirty. He walks in, the entire living room, dirty, filthy. They haven't done dishes in months. So they sit down to dinner. And the whole meal, nobody talks. And it's kind of towards the end of the meal, and he's a little horny. He thinks nobody's going to say anything, so he grabs his girlfriend and lies her on the dining room table, and he fucks her. And nobody says anything. He's still a little bit horny. He figures nobody's going to say anything, so he grabs the girl's mother and puts her on the table. He's just starting to bang her mother, and he looks out the window, and it's starting to rain on his motorcycle. So he reaches his pocket and takes out the tube of Vaseline. Her father jumps up and says, all right, I'll do the fucking dishes. Now that's a classic.
Yes, now that's a classic. Get out of here, Jackie.
That's the last joke on my CD, Sergeant Pecker.
Right.
That was banned. The girls in Omaha would not sell that at West Telemarketing because they wouldn't say the word pecker.
No,
hey,
whatever.
I love doing this. I will do this anytime.
Jackie,
anytime.
You're one of my favorite people. I love your energy. I love that you're still kicking ass. God, you're an inspiration, my friend. You're an inspiration.
Well, whatever. Email me, folks. Jokeland@AOL.com. If your mother's divorced and she needs a friend, I'm here.
There you go. Steaks and pots soon, Jackie. All right.
I've been waiting for you for years, but everybody loves you in the documentary. Oh, I don't know if I told the documentary is on Amazon Prime finally. If you want to see Opie in it's called Joke Man, and it's easy to find, and people they love the documentary. You know?
It's truly a great documentary. I said this when we were promoting it the first time, but I love that we get the whole story of Jackie, not just the Howard Stern part, because you've lived an amazing life, my friend.
Well, and with any luck, I'm going to keep living it for a while. But thank you. I'll do this. Say hello to anybody you know that I know.
All right, I'll do that. Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks, Ope. See you later.
Right, there he goes, Jackie the Joke Man, and that's it for us today, man. Nice and quick. I got to get this up on my podcast feed, Opie Radio. If you're just checking this out, what I've been doing with these daily live streams, I've been uploading them to my podcast, Opie Radio, so you can listen in the car. And so far, so good. We're getting some nice growth with the daily live streams on the podcast feed, Opie Radio. All right, guys, if you gave me a few bucks, thank you. Go screw for not hitting like. What is it going to take? Jackie just killed. Hit the stupid like on the way out. Have a lovely day. We will see you very, very soon.